Welcome. Today we're going to talk about the class that the polls on my channel have shown to be the favored class. I disagree with it, but hey, you guys voted. This is the class you said. It's the Warlock class. It can be fun. It's cool from a lore standpoint. It's fine, right? But there's a lot of people saying that the 2014 one's better than the 2024. And there's a lot of people saying the 2024 one's better than 2014. And I don't have a standpoint per se, but we're going to go over it. Right off the bat, though, you have to remember that with the 2024 Player's Handbook, there's a lot of new spells, not just for Warlock, obviously, but the Warlock has some new spells as well. So it's got a bigger spell list to go through. It's got a bigger cantrip list to go through, so they have more options. Just throwing that out there right now. But let's break them down level by level, right? So at level 1, with the 2014 Warlock, you get your Patron, which is cool. Patrons are cool. They do a lot of great things for your Warlock. They're literally the main point of the Warlock is the Patron. And you get your Pact Magic, which you get from, your Patron. It's what gives you your spells. It's fine. It's cool. It's great. At level 1 for the 2024 Warlock, though, you don't get a Patron right away. Now, you still get your Pact Magic, which doesn't make a lot of sense from a lore standpoint, a background standpoint, but bear with it. It's fine. You also get your Eldritch Invocations, which, once again, from a lore standpoint, also doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you get those from your Patron as well. But I digress. You have one invocation known at level 1. That's fine. That's cool. It's great, right? You get to alter a cantrip, which we all know is going to be Eldritch Blast that everybody's going to alter. It's fine. It's cool. It's whatever, It is what it is. At level 2 for the 2014 Player's Handbook, you get your Eldritch Invocation. So you had to wait a level. But 2 invocations instead of just the one that you would know if you were a 2024 Warlock. But as a 2024 Warlock, at level 2, you get Magical Cunning. What this is you can perform, and they call it an esoteric rite. It's a ritual thing, whatever, that lets you earn back Pact Magic spell slots, which is a fancy way of saying your regular spell slots. But you can only gain the amount equal to half of your level rounded up. So at level 2, you get one spell slot back. It's not overly game-breaking, right? But it's useful. It is useful, right? But you also get to know 3 invocations now. That's quite the jump, right? It's cool. It's great. You have more invocations. You can do more now. You can get a singular spell slot back, but you only do it once per long rest. Right off the bat, we're already trucking ahead with the 2024 Warlock in terms of versatility and, well, I'll say it, usefulness. At level 3, you get a Pact Boon as a 2014 Warlock. That's something that you get from your, I'll call it subclass, because that's what the 2024 handbook calls it. But it's what you get for your Patron. Your Patron gives you a Pact Boon. Everything else is a subclass feature. It's a subclass feature. That's what it is. You get a subclass feature at level 3. That's great. Depends on what Patron you picked. So I can't tell you exactly how useful it's going to be in comparison to something else, but it's useful. They're all somewhat useful. At level 3 for the 2024 Warlock, you get to pick your subclass, which is picking your Patron. That comes with something, obviously, but it's cool that you get to have a little bit more time to decide which Patron you want. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to wait until level 3 to pick your Patron. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not a big fan of it, but it doesn't change a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. At level 4, for both Warlocks, you get the ability score improvement. Now, keep in mind, you've never had to take the ability score improvement. That's never been a necessity. I know everybody sees that that's what it says on the class sheet, on the class page of the Player's Handbook, and that's what it says in the new Player's Handbook as well. You do not, under any circumstance, have to go with the ability score improvement unless your DM tells you to, unless your DM tells you you have to, which is not okay. You can choose any feat, because remember, the ability score improvement is considered a feat. You can pick any feat that you have the prerequisites for. Not all feats have prerequisites. The better ones do, but you can go with any that you are qualified for. At level 4, that's going to be just the ones that don't have prerequisites, but I digress. It doesn't have to be an ability score improvement. That's what I wrote because that's what both handbooks say. At 5th level, not a huge change for either one. The invocations known goes up a little bit. For the 2014 Warlock, it goes from 2 to 3. Not a huge change. You get 1 extra invocation known. For the 2024 Warlock, however, you go from 3 to 5. So it is a big difference depending on how you use your invocations. So, I don't know. I'm not well-versed in Warlocks. I've played 2 my entire time. Out of all the small amount of times I've been a player, I've played 2 Warlocks. So take this with a slight grain of salt. But knowing 5 invocations is going to be better than knowing only 3. So right off the bat, boom, we're doing better. At 6th level, you get a patron feature, which is a subclass feature for the 2014 Warlock. That's it. Same with the 2024 Warlock, you get a new subclass feature. So far, they've been more or less like neck and neck. They do the same things for the most part. The 2024 Warlock gets a little bit more like magical cunning and more invocations known. So it's better. It's more versatile, I'll say. Keep it neutral here. At level 7, they both get invocations known as increased, right? The 2014 Warlock goes from 3 to 4, whereas the 2024 Warlock goes from 5 to 6. So it's now going up in increments of 1 as well. But it's already 2 ahead. So no matter what, it's going to stay 2 ahead by the looks of it, right? At level 8, for both of them, you get the ability score improvement. Once again, it doesn't have to be the ability score improvement. By now, you are qualified for more feats, so I would recommend looking at the feat list, not just going with the ability score improvement, because by now you probably don't really need it. You've got some magical items that will possibly increase some stats, some ability scores. Even if you don't, you've made it through a good portion of the campaign if you're level 8 already. So your ability score is okay where it's at, I'm sure. If you feel like you do need a bonus to your ability score, go with the ability score improvement, sure. But keep in mind, by level 8, you have access to more feats than you did at level 4. So definitely keep an eye on that feat list just in case. At level 9, the 2014 Warlock only gets an increase to the invocations they know. It goes from 4 to 5. The 2024 Warlock, however, at level 9, gets to be able to contact their patron. So with 2014, there wasn't a whole lot of contacting patrons. Patrons didn't really contact them, and when they did, it was more or less at the DM's discretion. I know whenever I had a Warlock, I would have their patron contact them, like in dreams or something, to try and reset the party to going back to the main quest line, the main plot of the campaign. And you can still do that, don't get me wrong. You can still randomly have your Warlock's patron contact them in their dreams, in like a, in whatever. You can. There's nothing saying you can't. It's still a very viable option that I heavily recommend. But now your players can contact their patrons themselves and talk to them themselves. Maybe ask some questions, try and talk them into, some kind of like boost of some sort. Maybe give them advantage on a roll from here. So many things you can do. So many things that they can do just by being able to talk to their patron. But they also get an increase to the invocations known as well. They go from 6 to 7. So they're still staying 2 ahead of the 2014 Warlock, which I mean, obviously, more invocations known is better than less, right? That's just not up for debate. At 10th level, the 2014 Warlock gets another patron feature, which is just another subclass feature. And that's all the 2024 Warlock gets as well. Not a big to-do, fine, whatever. At the 11th level, they both get the Mystic Arcanum at the 6th level. What this is just a fancy way of saying, hey, go pick a 6th level Warlock spell that you can cast once a day. Now, those both sound equal, but you have to remember, Warlocks have a bigger spell list in the 2024 handbook. So they have more to choose from, which gives them more versatility. So you have to keep that in mind. And it's another free spell for the day. Doesn't take their spell slot, if I'm remembering correctly, which I'm like 90% sure I am. If I'm wrong, yell at me in the comments, please. Nobody's perfect. At 12th level, you get another feat, right? It says ability score improvement at 12th level. If you are taking the ability score improvement, please do not. Talk to the veteran players at your table. Talk to your DM. Get help. At 12th level, there's no reason for anybody to still be taking the ability score improvement feat unless at 4th and 8th level they decided not to, right? I always recommend at 4th level you take the ability score improvement. Unless you rolled amazing and all your main stats are already at 18, which I don't believe you. I have to see you roll that if that's the case, for obvious reasons. But I recommend taking the ability score improvement at level 4. That way at 8 and 12, you can take a useful feat. So it says ability score improvement in the handbook, and I can't stress this enough. That is the only reason it is on there for the 12th level. And again, the 16th level, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I suppose. Or hopefully burn it down with demonic fire. At 12th level, you shouldn't really be taking the ability score improvement for either 2014 or the 2024. It's just not a viable choice. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Look at the feat list. Find something useful that you are qualified for, that you have the prerequisites for. If you need help, that's what your DM is for. That's what the veteran players around you are for. And if ever the table is still a new player, reach out to me. I will help you, I promise. Anyway, at the 13th level, they both get Mystic Arcanum at the 7th level. Once again, it's just another free spell. 2024 Warlock has more spells to choose from. That's not to say that all of the spells in the 2014 handbook are bad. They're not. There's just more to choose from. So take that as you will. At the 14th level, we get a patron feature or subclass feature, right? Depending on which book you're looking at. And that's it. They're same, they're similar, it's fine. At 15th level, we're getting a little bit spicier here. They get Mystic Arcanum again, but this time it's 8th level, so they get an 8th level spell. I want to say that there are no bad 8th level spells, but I know somebody's sitting there waiting for me to say something like that just so they can throw a really bad spell at me and be like, no, this is fantastic. Just like they did when I talked about healers and I said that druids weren't good healers and people were like, but Goodberry, no. Goodberry's awful and I've proven it and I'll prove it again if you need me to. It's awful. Well, it's not awful, it's just not good. Anyway, they also get an increase to the invocations known. Oh, which they also did at 12. It's not, at this point it's pointless, but I'll say it anyway. At 15th level, the 2014 Warlock goes from 6 to 7. The 2024 Warlock goes from 8 to 9, which puts them at more invocations known than the 2014 Warlock gets no matter what level you get to. They cap out at 8. 2024 is at 9. We're not even done yet. It's going to go up one more time. Bear with me. Okay, so at level 16, the 2014 and the 2024 Warlocks get an ability score improvement. I really wish they didn't put ability score improvement in the books at this point. They should just put feats, because the ability score improvement is a feat. But it's not something that you have to go with. And it's not even something I recommend. At this point, even if you didn't take an ability score improvement at levels 4 or 8 or 12, at level 16, there's no point in taking an ability score improvement. There's just not. There's not. Because chances are you're at the end of your campaign. You only have 4 more levels before you're a max level character. If you're not done with your campaign yet, you're gonna be, right? There's no point to the ability score improvement at level 16. Do not take it unless there's just no other good feat for you to take, which I find very, very hard to believe. This is just coming from somebody who's been playing D&D for, what, 14 years now, right? I promise you, at 16th level, there are usable feats. Don't waste your time on the ability score improvement, please. It's your character, do what you want, but that's a bad idea. You're wasting your potential. At 17th level, they both get Mystic Arcanum at the 9th level. This is the final Mystic Arcanum that they both get. It's 9th level. You get a free 9th level spell. It's cool. It's fantastic. The 2024 Warlock is going to win on this one, if nothing else. There are no bad 9th level spells for the Warlock. And there's more choices in 2024. The 2024 Warlock is going to be more versatile with all four of their Mystic Arcanums. All four of their Mystic Arcanums. Sorry, I had to make sure. And at 18th level, the 2014 Warlock finally gets its 8th invocation known. Cool. 2024 Warlock goes up to 10. I don't know why they need 10, but they have 10, so they get 2 more invocations known than the 2014. I think they did that just like look, they're smarter. They know more. It's cool. We'll just go with it's cool. At the 19th level, the 2014 Warlock gets another ability score improvement or another feat, right? If anybody who's still playing the 2014 Player's Handbook, which it's a great handbook, don't get me wrong, I still use it. It's great. If you don't want to spend money on the 2024 Player's Handbook, that's fine. Keep playing 5th edition. Please. It's great. If any of you still playing with the 5th edition, the 2014 Player's Handbook, makes a Warlock, gets it to level 19, and takes the ability score improvement feat at level 19, I have failed you. I am sorry. I'm sorry. I am. There's no other way to say it. I failed you at that point. At the 19th level, the 2024 Warlock gets an epic boon. Cool. That's going to depend on your subclass. But if you get an epic boon, which is definitely better than an ability score improvement at the 19th level, but not necessarily better than a feat. But it is what it is. At level 20, they both get Eldritch Master. For the 2024 Warlock, the Eldritch Master gives them their Magical Cunning, but it's all spell slots. Let me double check this real fast. I believe that the Eldritch Master for the 2014 Warlock is just 2024's standard Magical Cunning, but let me double check that real fast. Shall I? Nope. All right. It is exactly the same. All right. So I was incorrect. I'm glad I checked. I apologize for that. Like I said earlier, nobody's perfect. I've played all of the editions of Dungeons and Dragons, so sometimes they kind of melt together on me. The main ones I've played are 3.5 and 5, but I digress. So at level 20, they both get Eldritch Master, which is Magical Cunning but for all spell slots, which means once per long rest, so once per day, essentially, you can perform an esoteric rite. You spend a minute and you get all your spell slots back. But you can only do it once per long rest. Just still pretty useful, especially since Warlocks don't have a lot of spell slots. The only reason I didn't put spell slots on this list is because for both versions, they have the same amount of spell slots. They don't have the same amount of Eldritch Invocations, which is why those are on there in orange. But they have the same number of spell slots, which is abysmal. It's like 6, I think, is the maximum. So I've been wrong before. Yell at me again if I'm wrong. But I'm confident I'm correct on 6 here, which is not a lot, especially at the 20th level. So overall, they're kind of neck and neck as far as power ratings go. They're not bad. They're not the worst class, Ranger, but they're not the best class either. They're good. I'd say they're above average. If I had to say one of them is better, I'm gonna say the 2024 Warlock, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, they know more Eldritch Invocations, and yeah, that's not a necessity, but it helps, right? They've got a bigger spell list to choose from just from leveling up. And then again, for their Mystic Arcanums, right? And then second level, they get Magical Cunning. You know, you have a way of getting your spell slots back, which means before Eldritch Master, you can still get a good portion of your spell slots back. So yeah, it's once per day, but how often are you actually going to need to use it? If you're fighting properly, Warlocks use a lot of cantrips because of their abysmal number of spell slots, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I'm not big on them not picking their patron until 3rd level, but that's not a character class flaw per se. It's a lore issue. It doesn't affect their power level. They get their stuff, they get their level 3 ability the same time as the 2014 Warlock because their Pact Boon is their first subclass feature. The level 3 2024 Warlock gets a subclass feature when they pick their subclass. So it doesn't affect their power scaling at all, but the invocations known kind of does. The larger list of feats to pick from kind of does. The larger list of spells to pick from kind of does. You know, then if we were to break down the subclasses, which will be another video entirely, the subclasses do different things. They give them different feats, kind of. So I'm going to venture out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that the 2024 Warlock is stronger than the 2014 Warlock. You don't have to agree with me, right? I'm not an expert on the Warlock class. I hope to be someday, but from this breakdown, from the analyzing their player handbook pages, I have to side with the new 2024 Warlock. The 2014 one's not bad. 2024 is a little bit better. So there you have it. If you learned anything, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, tell me you liked it. If you hated anything I said, which you guys are going to be out there, because remember, good berry is awful. Not awful, just not good. And I know that's going to ruffle some feathers because it's ruffled feathers every time I've said it. And I'm going to keep saying it. But if you didn't like anything I said, if you disagreed with anything I said, please, 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 let's have a conversation in the comments below. I would love for more subscribers, so that way I know I'm getting out there. But if you don't want to subscribe, that's fine. Just keep watching. I appreciate that too. At this point, the majority of my videos are getting more views than I have subscribers, and that's fantastic too. So, as always, thanks for watching.